Christi and I are going to start off. We're going to use the CB200.
350.
We're using the 350 on the first one?
For the cranberry orange?
Okay.
Yeah, it was the
Good.
350.
I should read the script. We don't have a script. So I'm going to pull this one back. We'll get to that later. And we're going to run the CB350, which is the world's largest selling batch freezer. This makes 6 to 7 quarts of ice cream in about 8 minutes and Italian ice in about 14.
Want me to sanitize?
Yeah, please. We're going to do an Italian ice on it today. Christi came up with this one. It's a combination of cranberry and orange Italian ice. And if you can speak for a second, I've got to go get the formula.
Okay.
So I can give it out to everybody.
So that's, let me fill this first.
There's also coffee up here, and there's muffins over there with plates and napkins. Help yourself. Otherwise, they get made into ice cream at some future date. So help yourself. And if you have any questions, raise your hand and we'll get to you. If it's a good question, we'll actually repeat it.
Jeff, what happened to all the stair sheen?
All the what?
The stair sheen.
Right here. But it's all done.
Oh.
I did it. It's all done.
Sanitized?
All done.
So I don't need to do that.
All done.
Oh, okay.
All right, well,
We
then
should have
I'll
asked.
print this out.
Okay, here's the formula that we're going to run today. And those of you watching on YouTube or emerythompson.com, this will be up at the website by next week. We're going to use 2 quarts of Simply Delicious cranberry juice, 2 quarts of Simply Delicious orange juice, 2 pounds of sugar. We'll mix that all up in a bucket and pour it into the machine and freeze
Simply
it.
delicious, what you make.
It will be super delicious.
You want to do this while I get the 2 pounds of sugar?
Okay. Now, there's other products on the market, but we just found this one to be really excellent.
And it comes out a very pretty pink, so that's even better.
Now, if you have a chance to look at past videos, we made one about a month ago, dill pickle Italian ice. Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, it wasn't
This
bad.
this container's not big enough. I'm gonna have to go to something bigger. It was interesting, and Christi's husband Mickey. Okay, thanks. Christi's husband Mickey cooked some bacon for it, perfect strips of flat bacon. We thought, you know, who wants dill pickle Italian ice? But if you put bacon in it, it'll be great. So we put in a piece of bacon. People ended up using it as a spoon, but we did it pretty much for promotion. It's something that actually sells in Texas, but sometimes you make a product just to promote it, right? Like my.
Don't go there.
Can you name one?
Oh, I can.
Maybe Sharknado?
Oh, you think?
You got it?
Yeah.
You're going to be the one that pours it in the machine, right?
Okay. 4 quarts. And the sugar. Now, sugar dissolves very quickly. I'll try to stay in range. Sugar dissolves very quickly, even in cold liquid like this. You don't have to heat it up. In fact, you don't want to heat it up because then the water loses all its oxygen and it tastes very flat. But this will be perfectly fine. Now, when we're pouring it in, if there's a little stream of sugar that's still left in the bucket, don't worry about it. We put in 2 pounds of sugar, so a little stream is not going to affect the recipe.
The rib lady.
You want me to?
Yeah, but I'm going to cut this down. We have a lot of product here. I'm going to cut this down to about 4 quarts.
Sure. You
So I
want
think
to pour
we're a
it
little
back in there then?
Yeah.
All right.
All this fun mixing and matching. All right. And we'll save the rest for later. We'll pour rum in it and serve drinks.
It's a good idea. Pineapple juice, maybe?
There we go. Okay.
All
So
right.
if you want to put that in.
Are we ready?
Yeah. Always check that the gate is closed. The last thing you did, before Christi pours that in, the last thing you did was you sanitized the machine and you opened up the gate so that you get all the sanitizer out. And now you're pouring the product in, and it's going all over the floor and everywhere, and I get the phone call. Yes.
Actually, our students will tell you the proper way to do it, and that's at the end of the day when you make your run so that it is closed up. The next day you come in, you're ready to go, right? And if the machine is closed, there's no chance of a mistake. But that's just us.
That's a good idea, but I'll tell them later why that's wrong.
Okay.
The health department wants the parts laid out on a table. So there you go.
All right, let's see.
But
if
check
I
that
can...
the gate's closed, because that's the #1 phone call that we get. And another nice thing about Italian ice is in the bucket, you can taste it and you can see how it is, because what you taste in the bucket before you freeze it is what you're going to get. So if you're playing with a new recipe and you don't know if it needs a little more of this or a little less of that, you can't take less out, but you can add more just tasting it right there before you put it in the machine. So we pre-ran this product, and so we have a pretty good idea what it's going to taste like. So Christi's setting it up on the Infinite Overrun for homemade ice cream.
Actually, Italian ice.
Italian ice, sorry. Turning on the refrigeration, and we'll start a timer to keep an idea of how long we're going.
A secret about Italian ice is, how many of you have had super creamy Italian ice and then you've had some that taste more crunchy or crystallizing? Secret's sugar. So to get that extra smooth, creamy taste on that Italian ice, is just adding more sugar. If this isn't creamy enough for you, well, orange juice already has sugar, so it's sugar and then you added more sugar. So the more sugar you add, the more creamier it's going to be. So if you're playing with an Italian ice formula, just keep adding, another ½ pound of sugar until you get that smoothness that you really like.
Now you know from watching the videos how Jeff and I will banter back and forth. He's always right and I'm always right, so that means we're going to be busting heads all the time. I had to give him accolades because a customer called me up because he said, "You know what, Steve, Jeff is right." I'm always saying, buy the cheap sugar, there's no difference, you save some money, and Jeff says, don't scrimp on the ingredients, they're the key to your success. Well, it turns out to be more than that. This product that says is a store brand and it says sugar. Well, I don't even think it's on here, but this is beet sugar. This is from beets. It's not the same as cane sugar, which comes from stalks of cane. And it's a much better taste when it's cane sugar. So when Domino says on here, pure premium cane sugar, it's a whole different product. So it does make a difference. Jeff was right. Jeff's off camera, so you can't see him, but he's going like this, and thank you, and this.
Hey, Steve, I noticed these are both empty. Did you measure 2 quarts of each?
No.
That 2 pounds of sugar is not equivalent to 2
Those aren't, they're not quarts.
No.
I'm already making a lot of mistakes, so we gotta add 2 more pounds of sugar.
No.
1 pound.
Well, you measured it, poured it back into that.
I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll taste it. We'll taste it.
Here.
That always works.
That's it's water.
Yeah, it's gonna freeze up.
Is it all right?
Could use a little more sugar.
Okay. Let's, I think it's gonna need a pound.
Okay. I'll use that.
So,
The other one.
already we're off to a good start in showing you that you don't worry about it. You're experimenting here. There's nothing wrong with experimenting. There's nothing wrong with mistakes. What you do want to do, besides following the directions, which I didn't do, is you also want to write down any changes that you make. Because if you make 2 or 3 batches of rum raisin, and all of a sudden you say, "Oh, it's number 2 was the second one was the great batch."
I don't like.
What did I put in? And you're
okay.
You're all confused
No.
because you made 3 different batches. So make sure you write down what you do. So I doubled up on the liquid. That's why I ended up with so much. I was surprised, which means that my sugar was only half of what I needed in there. So that's why we're not changing the formula. We're just adding the proper amount of sugar.
But, like Steve said, we did it oopsie, easy fix. You always eat your mistakes anyway, so it's not
You give them out to your neighbors.
Yeah, give them out to the people you don't like.
Any questions so far? Somebody's got to have a question.
Yes. What
Yeah.
was the final tally on how much sugar we used, so they can add
Well,
it to
it's
their?
still
It didn't change.
It didn't change because he added both of these whole, and he was only supposed to do 2 quarts and 2 quarts.
So I was half the sugar. I needed another pound.
I
so-
thought that was an awfully lot when you said it was too much.
I was a little surprised too.
Measure first.
Actually, I wanted to make sure my wife Paula gets these. She wants them for the recycling.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Paula's a big recycler, so now we make her happy. Yes, sir.
Much
You
better.
poured the extra sugar in straight into the batch, right?
I'm sorry,
I
what?
saw you poured the extra sugar right in to make up the loss, the difference that you didn't to compensate for the difference.
Yes.
Is there a time frame you have before it starts to freezing and the sugar crystallizes?
Oh, yeah, on Italian ice, probably about 6 or 7 minutes. But do as I say, not as I do. You should mix it all up in a bucket first, because if you were in the wholesale Italian ice business and you were making 200-300 gallons a day and you're dumping the sugar into the machines, you're going to wear the blades. Let me go off camera for a second.
Mike's the biggest pet peeve when he walks off camera.
Yeah, Mike's telling us, don't go out, right, Mike?
Say a word.
So that's a blade for the CB200, but they're Delrin, and the beauty of them is they're going to last 5-6 years. But it is a soft material compared to hardened stainless steel. So if you're putting sugar in there, it's like being on the beach and grinding it into your skin. Or the sugar is just going to act like sandpaper and wear these down to maybe they'd only last 3 years. So you try not to put the sugar in. Jeff's been doing it for years, but then when Jeff
10 years, I haven't had a problem with the blades.
and 10 years, you haven't had to buy a part either.
Right.
Because you know me.
So 10 years.
Do as he do,
putting
not
sugar
as
in
he
the
says.
machine.
So if you've got a sugar daddy, excuse the pun, you can go ahead and put that sugar in. Otherwise, Christi used to be in parts, and she's going to charge her.
It does make a difference. Just because Jeff didn't have an issue doesn't mean that you won't either. Jeff doesn't really make as much Italian ice as most people do because he did ice cream. So your sugar that you would add wasn't nowhere to the extent of an Italian ice business. So constantly, nonstop, always adding sugar, batch, day after day after day, is going to make like sandpaper on the blades.
But once in a while, like today's mistake, it's not going to hurt the machine.
No.
You're not going to do any damage to the machine. So you don't have to worry about it. So yes, we are speaking out of both sides of our mouth. Anybody else at the moment?
That brings up an interesting point. There's the science of this stuff, which is the formulas you follow, and then there's the art, which is how much sugar. You taste it, and even though your recipe calls for a pound, you taste it, I think I need some more sugar. Whatever the reason is. So you add more. That's the art. That's why your ice cream and ices will taste different than yours. And that's okay. Why do I bother?
Why'd you walk off for?
Huh?
Why'd you walk off for?
I thought Steve was standing there waiting to interject.
No, I wasn't. No.
Okay.
Continue.
No, I'm done.
Oh, okay.
I just told him the difference between art and science. The science is, here's your recipes. I have recipe cards there. I've got 100 recipe cards. That's the science. The art is right before you turn on the freezing, you taste it, and then you adjust.
Yeah.
That's the art.
So in other words, it's mathematically, this is absolutely perfect. That's the science. And the art is, will anybody buy it? And they're not buying our pickle Italian ice.
Well, I don't know. Some people are from different parts of the country, and sweetness may not be in vogue there.
Yeah.
You get the younger people, they don't want it stupid sweet. And I do. So they would have to adjust my recipes. Even though it's a recipe card, they would have to adjust it by tasting as they go, and then change the recipe a little.
No, you're absolutely right, because in Philadelphia, where they call it not Italian ice, but Philadelphia, they call it water ice, which is an awful name. They like their product, much as Christi said, smoother and creamier. And that's, as Christi said, the sugar content. For me, it's too sweet. I like the New York ice. I like some texture. But you sell to what your market wants. If everybody walking in says, do you sell water ice? you know immediately what formula you've got to do. Add a little more sugar. If they're all saying, if they all have a Bronx accent or a Brooklyn accent, and they're saying, give me a cherry lemon ice, then you know that that's going to be a formula with less sugar in it. So it's really reading your crowd. The other thing, how are we doing in there?
Good.
I've got this container for you. The other interesting thing about Italian ice is you can know in advance. If you're doing a festival, you can know in advance what's going to sell. If you're doing the Feast of San Gennaro down in Manhattan, Little Italy, it's going to be any flavor you want as long as it's lemon. Lemon is even a generic term. You can walk into a pizza parlor in New York and order up a raspberry ice, and you'll say, give me a raspberry lemon ice, because lemon ice is just the generic term for it, like, say, water ice. If you're doing the Puerto Rican Day Parade down Fifth Avenue, bring the coconut flavors. If you're doing the festivals down in Lower Texas, bring the pickle Italian ice. It actually will sell. So you can have an idea in advance what is going to sell to what market. Don't bring lemon ice to a Jewish festival, because it's going to be mainly chocolate. And I don't know any other food that is that way, that you can look at it and say, okay, we're going here, and this is what the market will be, and this is what it's going to sell. If it's going to be a children's birthday party, throw all the rules out the window, bring bubble gum, bring blue. I don't know what flavor blue is, but bring blue ice, and bring bubble gum, and bring any crazy thing that you can think of, and it'll sell to the kids.
Oh, especially if you had like a gummy bear on top or something like that. That really grabs the kids' attention.
A THC gummy bear?
Definitely not.
A vitamin gummy bear?
No tie-dye, Jeff. No. We left the 70s back a long time ago.
Never.
No, we lived the 70s.
Not me.
Blasphemous. How do we look?
Still
Another 2-3 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay. That's a nice color, though.
it is.
It's a very nice
So
color.
here's another.
Skin tone.
Even though
Wow,
this is
thanks.
just cranberry juice and orange juice, it's very pretty looking, and the texture is very smooth. So you put it in a squeeze cup. Steve introduced me to these. This is a solo pleated cup. You put it into this little pleated cup, and you squeeze it from the bottom as you eat it. You sell this for $1.50, $2. Put it in this fancy glass, you can call it sorbet and sell it for $5. That's the difference of sorbet and Italian ice. You go to Harlem, it's
One of
Italian
these
ice.
cups?
You go to Beverly Hills, it's sorbet. It's the difference.
Yeah, right behind you. Didn't you used to work for Solo?
Yes, I did.
We have
She ran
squeeze cups
production
here?
lines,
We
making
have
the
squeeze
beer
cups?
cups. Trivia, Christi
use
can tell you
them
this. Christi, tell them about the beer cups.
Oh, so
I think that's fascinating.
it was all
for a beer drinker.
It was all plastic. So we used to make the plastic cups that you drink out of, and if you didn't have your calcium right in the plastic, whenever Budweiser would pour their beer in there, it would make it foam too much. So you'd have to adjust your plastic. So if you ever get a cup that starts foaming too much, it's not the beer; it's the yeast reaction to the plastic.
Who knew?
Yes.
One interesting point, different cups yield different amounts. I know with snowballs, because we had snowball business before, it's penny per ounce. What's the cost per yield, per cup size for making? Say, for a snowball, it's a cup, penny an ounce, so an 8 ounce will cost you 8 cents to make it, plus cup and spoon, so you put another 2 cents. Yeah, 10 cents. What's your profit margin? Where you talk?
So how I teach my customers to do profit is it was 2 quarts of this and 2 quarts of that in your sugar. And it makes 1.5 gallons. There's 192 ounces in 1.5 gallons. So whatever the cost of this was, so this was like $8, but probably drop it down to $5. So it took $5 to make 1.5 gallons. And then you take that, you times it by
That's 30 servings.
Yeah, so then you take your 30 servings by how much you would serve, how much you would charge it, and that's your profit you're going to make minus your $5. So if you sell,
It's criminal how
Yeah.
much money you make.
so if you sell it for what, $4? So 4 times the 30 servings, and then minus the $5, that's your profit.
Now I can make
Crazy, isn't it?
I can make the exact same product using an extract, a concentrated extract. You just put 2 ounces in, and there you go.
Sure.
And my cost drops down to about
Ready?
$4.50 to make
good, right?
2.5 gallons by just using an extract. The difference is this will sell great at Yankee Stadium where it's hot and it's a captive audience, and this is going to have people around the block lined up to get it because it's so good. So I can make you a much cheaper ice, but this will get you a reputation. Yes.
Okay, right?
When you say that, are you making a simple syrup base to make that?
I'm not making a simple syrup.
So it's just a straight concentrate mixed with
That's a concentrated extract like vanilla. This
mixed
would
with
be
the orange
cherry.
juice straight.
Yeah, just 2 ounces.
We're ready.
Take it away. See how fast that comes out of the machine? That's important to your making a product, is to get it out quickly so you have consistency. And so what we'll do,
Another bucket.
I'm
yeah.
going to start putting these in cups. Did you?
So we're going to pass this around to you. So just give us a second to stir it up and serve it up. Now, what you would do in normal production is if you were going to spend the next 8 hours making ice, you would start with a light flavor like lemon, and then you would go to orange, and then maybe you go to the orange cranberry, and then maybe to raspberry, and then down to blueberry. Because each one of those is a fruit, and each one is going to, there's so little left in the machine, each one is going to be covered over by the darker flavor. So orange has a bit of a tangy taste to it. So if I make lemon, and there's a little bit of lemon left in the machine, it'll be covered up by the orange. Then the orange cranberry will cover up the regular orange, and then the cherry, I'm already into a pale pink color, so if I go to cherry, which is going to be a deep red, I can cover that up, and then I can go to blueberry, or blue ice, which is really dark. So I don't have to do a lot of rinsing out. You just plan your production. You don't go from chocolate ice to lemon ice. That wouldn't make sense. You would do lemon ice and then chocolate ice. And the real reality when you get into business is you're not going to make just one batch of this. You're probably going to make 3, 4, 5, 6 batches of it because it's a popular flavor and it's selling well. I get calls from people and they say, I've got this Italian ice and it's been in my freezer for 3 months. Is it any good? Oh, how cold is it? 10 below. What flavor is it? It's bubblegum licorice. And you've heard this on my other videos. I repeat my jokes. I told the lady, yes, it's as good as the day you made it, but the fact is it's been in the freezer for 3-6 months. People don't like bubblegum licorice. Get rid of the flavor. It's a lousy flavor. Move?
Yes.
Move.
Move.
Oh. So how is it?
It's delicious.
Okay, I'm off camera. All right, now you're, yes, go ahead.
When Jeff was opening and closing the chamber to make sure that it's ready,
Yes.
what is he exactly looking for? Is it the way that it drops? Is it?
Yes, he's looking for the way it cuts off. If it comes out runny, it's not ready. We know the approximate time is 14 minutes, but we're going to start checking it about 12 and see how it looks because every flavor is going to have a different sugar content. Now, if you see my lemon ice formula, it also uses 2 pounds of sugar, and this one uses 2 pounds of sugar. But this has more sugar in it because of the orange juice and the cranberry. So that means in my head, my 14 minutes is now going to go up to 15. And these are all approximations. When I watch my wife Paula do any baking, she doesn't set the oven at 350 for 22 minutes, and then when it's at 22 minutes, just pull the baked goods out. She checks them. She sees if they're ready. She knows it's an approximation of where she is in the baking process, and we're doing the same in the freezing process. So we started something new last class. Instead of standing up here taking all the accolades and marvels about how great it is and we are, we want to learn on this formula. So our question is, what would you do different here? What do you not like about it? Is it too tangy? Is it too sweet? Anybody have any changes to it?
Nothing. Perfect, Christi.
Perfect.
Good call.
Oh, that is
Thank
good.
you.
Good. Yep.
The combination good.
And I didn't eat breakfast, so it works out fine.
Well, another trick too is buy it with the high pulp. Anything if you use orange juice, get it high pulp because you can see the pulp in there. And it's a mind thing. So customers see that, oh, fresh real oranges, and
Good.
technically it is. I mean, it is simply orange.
Nobody's more surprised when a formula comes out than me, because I do it mathematically, and then I hand it to Christi. Christi takes it home and runs it on her machine, and she adapts it to what her family likes, and then that's what we end up running with. So
This was just a whim one. It was a cranberry orange. Now you can also do, I keep putting this in the trash, just orange Italian ice. Just 4 quarts of this and 2 pounds of sugar, and you have, talk about real, it's smoother than this, smooth orange Italian ice, and it's amazing. And I actually packed it in some coolers and took it to the beach with me because of the high sugar content. It froze really well. And I packed a cooler at 6 in the morning, and then about 2:30 in the afternoon on the beach, it was still nice and frozen, ready to eat. So it packs really nicely too, high sugar content stuff does.